Hi, I'm Tom. Welcome to the Carpe Diem Podcast, where I discuss Venice AI. Today's topic is the VVV inflation rate and the recent good news that it is about to be significantly reduced. Before I start, there's a few names for inflation that people use rather interchangeably. I'm sorry for that. So, other names for inflation are issuance, emissions, distribution, expanding the supply, or perhaps even yield. Tomato, tomato. Inflation doesn't sound so bad if you describe it as a mechanism to increase distribution to more holders. And after all, if your coin doesn't get distributed, you can't win. Your coin needs the network effects described by Metcalfe's law to thrive. The Bitcoin halvening every 4 years is a mechanism such that distribution could be very high at the start and exponentially trend down to zero. Satoshi hoped this would be the best of both worlds, and so far he's been spot on. Bitcoin started with an inflation rate of like 100%, and now it's just 0.8%. And now Bitcoin is described as hard money after only 17 years. Now, there's no way to beat around the bush. VVV is highly inflationary. 14 million new tokens are emitted per year. The initial supply of VVV was 100 million, so the inflation rate initially is 14%, obviously trending down. But, a positive volcano of emissions are awarded to stakers, providing an ongoing incentive for participation in the network. Emissions also provide ongoing incentive to Venice AI to contribute building the compute capacity of the inference network. Tomorrow, 20th of August 2025, the Venice team is reducing the inflation rate from 14 million a year to 10 million per year. That's a 28.6 cut. Extremely significant, and maybe tokenomics changing. It's massive. Now, of course, an inflation reduction is a double-edged sword. If you're a staker, you'll possibly now get less yield. I say possibly because I'm not able to reason how much less exactly, because there was another relevant piece of information released by Venice. Apparently, the VVV emissions up until now weren't all going to stakers. So, up until the moment, between 20% and 80% of emissions were going to stakers. And I was rather shocked by finding this out, to be honest. I didn't know that. It's rather a large range, 20 to 80%. An average would have been nicer. But am I cheesed off? No, because the staking contract is on the blockchain, open and transparent. It's open source. And when you run the smart contract to claim your staking yield, the token transfers clearly state how much VVV you are getting and how much VVV is going to Venice. So not calculating one's own slice compared to Venice, well, that's a skill issue on my part. The data was there for all to see. And in Venice's defense, in March they burned 33.5 million tokens, mostly from the unclaimed airdrop tokens, but 1 million tokens were burned simply as a public good. And you can read about it in a blog post with a great title, Venice is Burning. Love that. Anyway, bygones speak bygones. From tomorrow, 80% to 100% of emissions will go to stakers. And that's well documented now. And I love that. It's if you're staked and you didn't mint TM, you'll get 100% of your slice. And that's smashing. And if you're a DM minter, you'll forego 20% of your slice. Venice will get 20%. Will get 20% slice of your potential yield, which I think is good for the ecosystem. We want Venice to have an ongoing income. They can hire more devs. They can rent more GPUs. The more Venice wins, the more the ecosystem wins. Zooming out a bit, I don't know if I explicitly said it, but the main reason why inflation, when paid out in yield, is bad, well, is the bad side of the double-edged sword, is because it can be a constant source of sell pressure. This is why the reduction in inflation is bullish. For example, the boss of OpenAI, Sam Altman, the bootloader of ChatGPT, has a side hustle, a blockchain project called WorldCoin, ticker WLD. For the WorldCoin token, the market cap has been going up, while the price of the token has been going down. And that's due to heavy issuance, i.e. inflation, i.e. sell pressure. And that's not good for hodlers. In the fiat system, inflation is a problem because it dilutes your share. But this isn't really a problem for Venice. You can protect yourself from being diluted by staking your tokens. And I like the Venice staking mechanism, and it's got a 7-day cool-off period, which ensures that staking is a commitment. And staking mops up some of the emissions and reduces sell pressure. But if I'm honest, so far the sell pressure has suppressed the price. The value of a bag of VVV has been pretty constant since March, and that if is doing a lot of heavy lifting, if you've reinvested all of your staking yield. And you had to have been compounding your yield to hold value. So in some ways, up until now, there is no yield. Staking is simply the countermeasure to the sell pressure caused by the planned inflation of the 40 million VVV per year. If you want to maintain your share of unrestricted AI, you have had to stake your yield. The yield doesn't even cover the sell pressure. Only the compounding of staking over time covers it. I'm hoping the new DM locking mechanism further slows sell pressure, and the Venice team has said a few times that the aim is for VVV to be deflationary one day, and that's really interesting. Tell us more about that. Set out the rules. Rules, not rulers. So tomorrow we have a front row seat watching the Venice team cook. For us, the DM token generation event is a big event, maybe as big as when ETH transitioned from proof of work to proof of stake. But for us, it only took 7 months rather than 7 years it took Ethereum. I have a VVV accumulation strategy to buy $10 per day every day. And today I bought 2.4 Venice tokens for $10 at $4.16 per VVV. I now hodl 10.52 Venice tokens acquired for $40. And I've hit my first milestone. I've crossed into double digits of VVV. I now have a meals out worth of Venice token. But I prefer not to value my bag in dollars. If my share of unrestricted intelligence is going up, then I'm happy. That's all. Go seize the day.